Hey Liz,
Hey, how's it going?
not too bad. You?
It's been a while.
Yeah, yeah. How you been keeping?
Not bad. Yeah, it's been good. We can just dive in and people will join. It's a beautiful day, so some people may probably not
May
join,
skip it for the sun. Yeah, no, I hear that.
but really, I mean, a lot of times like we'll record it and it'll just be something that people can reference later. But yeah, welcome to Meet Me. This is a series, I think, yeah, you're the second person that we're doing this with. And it's basically just interviewing people from the Meta plus AI community and just understanding how people are using
Mhm.
AI in their work. I mean, a big reason why I wanted to start this was just to learn from others, and others to just kind of like learn together because I just find this whole AI thing is overwhelming for people and just making it a little bit more accessible to everyone is what I care about, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. It's especially this past year has been quite eye-opening in terms of understanding the difference of tools and what you can really do. So yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. The
Hmm.
first, oh, here comes somebody. The first question I'm going to ask is, who are you and what is your connection to me plus AI?
So my name is Noam Halberstadt, and you invited me to Me Plus AI, and I joined in mostly because I'm like yourself. I'm very curious to hear how people are utilizing AI, and in particular to in regards to marketing and how whether or not it's been effective, and just kind of like hear what their experiences were. To be honest.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm very curious to find out like how you're using it. And I think like the rest of the community would be interested in kind of getting um uh getting your perspective on it. So yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I think, and my next question is going to be like, how do you use AI today in your professional and even personal life? Maybe we'll start with professional.
Sure. Yeah. So maybe just to give you a little rundown of what I do. So I'm in primarily music marketing. I do music production as well, but for the most part, it has been more like account managing for people and basically pushing like releases and trying to grow artists online. Primarily online. There's a whole bunch of different things that we could talk about offline, but yeah, online is kind of the way to go. One of the biggest challenges that we face, and I'm sure this is similar in many other industries, is actually getting people to speak candidly on camera. And what's interesting about music is that like most musicians don't even want to look at a camera.
Really?
Um, Absolutely, it's such a shy thing, and it's kind of weird when you think about it because they are entertainers. But a lot of them just don't, and they're not good. Some of them aren't good, and it's something that you have to kind of learn. You have to kind of get into. So we were essentially running a lot of different advertising, using mostly Meta and trying different things. And we were finding that our costs per click were crazy high. And we were asking artists to do just talking head videos. Hey, I got a song coming out, you have the song in the background, like very basic stuff for them. And again, like most some people were really good at it and funny and actually had, hooks to it. Some people just were very, very flat. Anyways, what I tried to do was I'm like, we got to find a way to create content that's eye catchy enough to get people to click through all the way to Spotify, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
So I started noodling around with like DALI 2 and Midjourney, for the most part, like just to kind of get my feet wet and try to understand how that kind of worked.
Right.
Um, and it kind of like slowly transitioned into things like Kyber. So Kyber is probably one of the most utilized tools that I kind of use.
Mm.
And essentially what it is you're creating videos via prompts, or from a specific image. So for us, it was really powerful because we were able to take like, let's say like someone's release or album artwork,
Yep.
run it through Kyber, and we create these like really, really, really eye-catching visuals. And what we saw was like a crazy drop in cost per click. Like we were getting now at 30 cents. Like 30 to 60 was kind of the average, and 10 cents was like, you're off to the races. But yeah, like the difference in what we saw in terms of like actually getting people to click was like, wow. So it became kind of like standard practice for us. And the agency that I was working with, actually, they had almost written off meta ads entirely because it was so difficult. The cost per clicks were so high, and we're dealing
Right.
with independent musicians who have finite budgets. It's not like you're dealing with bigger companies that can just throw money at it and test and whatnot, right? So once we kind of figured out this little sort of trick to create these eye-catching visuals, it was like a standard procedure. It was like every single artist gets like an AI video with their package, and we do testing with that. If it doesn't work, we'll try a different one. Like it became like a very, very interesting sort of thing for our company. But yeah, that in terms of like successes in terms of AI, that's probably like the biggest thing that we've had. Um, in
That's
terms of
cool.
like just yeah, it was such an interesting thing actually to kind of put two and two together and be like, holy smokes, like this is working.
Right.
Um, the other few things that we use it for is one, we can use it for album artwork, which is great. We can kind of now bypass that whole like graphic design aspect of it, which makes just life, super, super easy. And you're able to now like offer artists like these kind of like comprehensive packages, even if you had like a small team, because now you'd be able to create these great visuals and kind of edit them. Well, the reality is you don't really need too much editing because the graphics are already there. You're just kind of slapping on a title and an artist name, and you're basically done. So that was a fantastic way that a fantastic use that we found with AI. But it goes so much more. I mean, like ChatGPT is just like the amount that you can do with ChatGPT. I'm still like learning, and I'm getting now into like the plugin aspect of it and things like that. But so what we use it for is basically everything now. We use it for CRM, so outreach,
Right.
honing our outreach messages and things like that, and trying to get them a little bit more personalized. So like with specific genres and similar artists and things like that, it actually kind of helps pull things together. And then we basically edit and parse down from there.
Right.
In addition to things like that, it was a lot of copy. So copywriting, again, it's not always something that people find is such a natural thing. Sometimes like you just need the extra little bit of inspiration. So we can be like, this is our picture, give us a caption. Like very
Right.
simple prompts to GPT. Sometimes it was great, sometimes it was completely off base, but the whole idea is like we're not taking exactly what AI does, but we're kind of like using it as more of inspiration for what we do.
Right.
Um, yeah, sorry, you have any questions? I'm like moving like
Yeah, I just wanted to pause for a second because I want to go back to Meta. So
yeah.
when you're running ads, like did you find that when you put the image to Kyber and then it just gave you multiple different like iterations of that image, is that what made the Facebook ads more powerful? Is that you could test different versions, or like is that kind of what was the breakthrough or
Yeah, exactly. Like
oh, that's
what we were doing was we were testing the main concept that we kind of figured was it wasn't so much that the targeting that would create a successful or not successful ad. It was really about the creative.
right,
So I mean, if the creative is just sitting still, then you're not going to get anywhere. So we were basically at that point we were now testing A/B. So like if we had an artist with just like a basic like, hey, I got a song coming out, and then we would basically run that against an AI ad with essentially no text on it, and then we would basically do another one with text, like a CTA and the album cover on it with a little bit of extra movement,
right.
and we'd be basically just testing different types of creatives.
And
Um,
that's basically driving traffic to where they are on Spotify so that people can check it out and follow. Okay. That's
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
very cool. Yeah, because I know that Meta nowadays, like they're very cognizant of ad burnout. So they are really pushing people to test different iterations of ads and like, you can test like 10 different ads against each other. And like slowly you'll see which ones are actually performing better. And they're also saying like add in new ads into the mix all the time to help with the whole burnout factor. So that all makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, it's very interesting. For us, it's usually on a little bit of a smaller scale. Again, just like budgetary reasons, we
Sure.
can only maybe run like a maximum of like 4 ads at a time. But
Yeah.
yeah, like once we start seeing that like certain ones are just like way too expensive, like we just knock them off. And for music, we try to transition to different songs anyway. So I mean, ad burnout's not always necessarily something that we're thinking about because our cycles are usually like a month and then we call it and we move on to the next track.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Like
yeah.
Meta is saying like, switch out every 2 weeks kind of thing, which is really
Wow. Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, that would make sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I well again, so what we've been seeing is like and it is so difficult to put the metrics together because just the setup and how Spotify like what Spotify actually gives us in terms of like how to measure success.
Mhm.
So I mean, like we try to not tamper if we have something that's working, um,
Yeah,
because
totally.
you know what I mean? Like even like if it's the smallest little tweak, it's like ah. But yeah, as soon as we start to see everything start to slow down, we'll shuffle everything up or just completely move on.
Okay, gotcha. Now, like, how do you use it do you use it any way in like your personal life? Like, does it help with any aspect there, or are you usually just using AI stuff for your professional stuff?
So at the moment, I've really just been in the professional stuff, but I have been doing a little bit of research because I could use like an AI planner or an AI assistant that could
Oh
really
yeah.
help organize some stuff. But I've yet to find a program that I'm like, yeah, this is the one, you know? So I'm hopeful that within the next few years, we're probably going to see a ridiculous amount more of these AI
Oh
companies popping
yeah. Totally. And it's funny because like I know for me personally, like Chat GPT lately just isn't cutting it. And I don't know what it is, but like JF, who's also in the community, he was mentioning the other day about Perplexity. I don't know if you've checked that out, but it's
No,
a
I haven't,
really
but
cool
no.
platform. And someone else was talking about Genesis as well as being better than ChatGPT right now. I find it really interesting. But I don't know, like check that out sometime if you can. The reason I like Perplexity is like, when I'm doing research, it'll actually cite the sources for me
Oh,
when
that's
it
wicked.
actually spits out what it's saying. Cause like that's something that, is a bit of a pet peeve of mine with ChatGPT is like, I don't know where it's getting this information from. And like to me, that is a little bit concerning.
I absolutely agree, 100%. Yeah,
Um,
when
yeah.
the R&D that we usually do is mostly actually, and we found it to be pretty cool. And I would like it to maybe be a little bit more honed. So I'll try these other two and maybe see what happens. But we use it for like similar artists and like different genre breakdowns and stuff like that. And it gives us like a whole slew of stuff that we could use for meta. So it's great.
Yeah, I don't know. So actually, I was talking to Cassia, who's also the she's a social media expert, and she's in our community as well. And she was telling me about if you have long form video, so if you even have like live footage, like video footage of an artist, you can actually put it into a program and it will AI will actually cut it into like say it's like an hour long video,
Mhm.
they can turn it into 25 like little short videos that you can use for reels, YouTube shorts, things like and TikToks. So there's one called Opus Clip that I'm gonna try, and I don't know if you've had any experience with that at all, or if that's something you would use.
I have not, but I'll definitely take a look. I mean, all that type of stuff is super relevant to what I do. I mean, live shows and studio
Yeah.
sessions and stuff like that. Like it just works really well.
Because I'm
Um,
just like, I don't want to sit around and have to like chop up videos all day. Just don't have time for that. So
there's actually
I
a
can do
great
it.
yeah, no, I hear you for sure. There's a great program I just recently used called Rotor Video,
Oh, cool.
um, which essentially what you're doing is you upload like different clips and it randomizes them and puts like like cool transitions on it.
Yeah.
And it's all AI based, right? So like you can kind of sit there and just click the button and randomize the clips until you get something that you like. But
Yeah.
you know, we're having issues because we've had a few artists now that wanted to have like this sort of montage, you know, sort of style video that kind of encapsulates, you know, 5 years of their musical journey with whatever. Right. So we had a couple of our graphic designers go like, yeah, I'm not touching that because it seems like really tedious work for not a whole lot of gain, right? So my boss was like, "Here, check this out." And I was like, "Okay, let's try it." It seems to work really, 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 really well. So I mean, all things in that sort of realm, I find are very, very useful for sure.
All right. Yeah, no, that's fair. Next question. What do you fear most about the changes that AI is going to bring?
Um,
Thing?
I honestly, I think the thing I fear most, and it's not probably not going to be what most people are thinking, which is like, I mean, am I going to be out of a job or this? I hear that all the time, but I think it's more to what you were saying, where it's like you're going to get a lot of information that may not necessarily be corroborated, and you're going to get a lot of people who think they're experts who really don't really know anything. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm scared about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of leaning towards what you're saying because like I'm even noticing on YouTube and on even on the internet, like there's so much, it looks like AI spam. And I
Yeah,
know that Google has just put together like a crackdown on spammy content again. And I'm assuming a lot of it is that like automatic AI generated, stuff that's floating around the internet right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Um, what do you hope AI can improve our lives in the near future? I mean, you kind of already touched on it, but
My personal organization would probably be number one. Um, but but yeah, I mean, I think the more that we integrate with it, the easier our jobs actually become.
right,
And it's maybe easy is not necessarily the right word, but it may not just be as like brain demanding, if that makes sense. Like I'm not going to sit here and brainstorm now for a half an hour. You know, I can put something into a prompt and I can get a whole bunch of different ideas in 2 minutes. So I mean,
right,
like I do feel like over time it's going to kind of bleed more into our daily life
yeah,
in that sort of regard. And I think it's a good thing to a certain extent.
okay. I guess another another question that I have is like, because you're a musician as well,
Mhm.
and what kind of music you're producing, but you're also creating? Like I've seen your stuff on it on Insta and stuff. Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been a musician for my, I mean, oh my God, yeah, I'm like 20 years now, like professional, like playing on stage and stuff like that. So I play mostly like blues music and rock music. Um, how that relates to AI, actually, it does relate to AI quite a bit. So I had a live show the other day. And I just got the audio files back. The problem
Right,
was it was just one big audio file. It was like one stereo file, so I wasn't able to play around with the levels and change the guitar here and whatever, like play around with it in the mix type of thing. And there's actually some now AI programs that can break down stereo wave files into their specific instruments, which blew me away. Like
right,
as an audio engineer, I was like, holy smokes, this is like a game changer. Like I can take any song, any MP3, any wave file, whatever, throw it into this program, and it'll spit it out. Just I can even remove the vocal if I wanted to. So like there are just some very very interesting things in regards to music AI. We're also my so I work for a company called Dotted Music. And we also represent a lot of like music tech companies and stuff like that. So a couple of them are actually doing, well, one of them specifically is doing AI singer tech,
okay,
which we're like, this is crazy. And when you listen to it, it's like, holy smokes, like it's almost at that level where it's like this is a human, um, which is crazy. That actually sings real words. Like you could input whatever you want, and it'll sing it for you just by playing a keyboard, which is pretty crazy. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of advancements in AI for music as well. And it's actually been there for quite some time, actually. Even so, when I was back, I went to Seneca before I went to Seneca for social media. I was at Seneca for independent music production.
yeah,
And while I was there, they were introducing a program called Lander, which was an AI mastering platform, essentially. So now instead of spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a human being in a room listening to your music, you could just, throw it up on Lander, and all of a sudden you have a perfect radio ready master type of thing.
wow,
Yeah.
okay. So it's almost like you're kind of kind of have like you could actually almost create avatars now that are just producing music, which is kind of freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I mean, I've seen also, well, there are people who have done it just for influencers, right? Like people have created AI personas just to make money as an influencer. Like I've seen that happen, which is crazy. And most people, when they start this out, they're like, "No, this is never going to fly. Like nobody's going to believe that this is actually just an AI image of a woman as opposed to an actual woman going to, traveling and experiencing things." But it works. And if you add a vocal to it and you add a little bit of music behind it, then it becomes immersive, which is even scarier.
That is scary because like it just reminds me of the whole ABBA tour, when they were just like, we're gonna just project like, what we look like in the 70s and
Yeah.
on stage. And I'm just like, I actually might pay money for that. I didn't, but I thought about it. What is your take on that whole ABBA thing?
The whole ABBA thing. I don't know enough. I've only heard like the top level what's going on there, but
They're basically holograms of them when they were in their heyday
yeah, I heard about that. I
performing.
I mean, I think it's okay. If it's entertainment, it's entertainment, right? I mean,
True.
I'm sure some estate is getting paid for something. I mean, if they're not, then there's an issue. But that's on them to police.
Right. All right. Last question. It's very important. What's your favorite sandwich?
So I'm a very classic New York Jewish deli guy. So I got to say, just a pastrami on rye. That's for me.
Nice. Nice. I love it. Yeah, mine's a Reuben, which is adjacent. So
You're pretty
yeah,
close,
good
yeah.
good choice. Well, listen, thank you so much for chatting with us. Thanks, Mandy. Stephen was hopped in earlier. We're gonna have the recording of this. I'm gonna be promoting it on LinkedIn and we
So,
possibly use some of the footage for that. So if you're game with that,
absolutely.
that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
I
you.
think you cut out there for 3 seconds, but I think I got the gist. Yeah, sounds good.